What is the situation with Scott McTominay after last weekend, and with Palace in mind, are there any players going to be back?
Scott, I think he didn't train so far this week, but I expect him back in training on Saturday, and then we have to see up to the game if he is 100% available or for part in the game. And also after the game we had an issue with Bruno, so he is a doubt for Monday, but he will fight to get also in this game. You know, all Bruno, he will never rule him out for any game, so he's giving his best to be available. And then Johnny Evans returned today in the team training, and and then tomorrow we are off, and then we have 2 days up to the game.
Martial as well, we saw him training.
He was partly in the team training.
Okay, and there's obviously been a lot of talk today after last night's Champions League semi-final about Jadon Sancho's performance. I was just wondering what you made of it, and I mean, he was obviously arrived for a big fee and a lot of expectation. Things haven't gone to plan. Is there a chance he can work his way back into your thoughts, your side?
So let's see this. Yesterday he played very good, and we talked more about it. He's a very good player, and yesterday he showed why Manchester United bought him. He showed also that he represents a high value for Manchester United, so which is good. And so I'm happy for Jadon with his performance from yesterday, and we will see what's going to happen in the future.
Erik, you said last week that you would probably have a chance to talk to Jason Wilcox this week. Have you done that? And are you now putting together the kind of structure and the plan and the site for next season?
No, I didn't say I had a chance. No, definitely. We talk every day from now, from last week. So in a very short period, we have to build an intense relationship, and we are working on it now. And of course, a plan. We had a plan already before we stepped in, but of course we have to get aligned with it. So, and that takes time. But at the same time, we don't have so much time.
In terms of next season, given what's happened this year, and I know you've had a lot of injuries, but still you're sixth and not going to qualify for the Champions League, is there a lot of work that has to be done in the summer?
It always has a lot of work, and yeah, it sounds a little bit like well, it's normal, but it is normal that when you go in a transfer window, but the injuries have a big impact. So we know also we are still below the levels from the expectations that Manchester United has. So we have to catch up. And I'm now going into my fifth window. I think 2 windows were quite okay. 2 windows we missed. And we have to make new improvements into this summer. But also there is a base in this squad, which is very good. And yeah, definitely the injuries have a big impact on our season.
Erik, obviously the result last night confirmed that United can't make the Champions League now, but how important is it to ensure that you are in European football, and how much of a difference does that make to some of the work that you've just been talking about?
It's of course it's important, but we have 2 opportunities, and that is one over the league and one in the FA Cup final.
And when you look at the work for next season, to be in the Europa League, to be in the Conference League, how much a difference does that make in your mind to the players you can attract, the budget that you'll have to play with, all that side of it?
Definitely it will have an impact on the budget, but I'm sure Manchester United is a very attractive club to play for. So many players will be very pleased and be very happy to play for Manchester United, I'm sure.
Just looking ahead to Monday, the Crystal Palace fixture. Oliver Glasner's had quite quite a significant impact at Selhurst Park. What have you made of the start that he's made, and is he a manager that you've tracked previously with the work that he's done?
It's totally different, yeah. Totally different style of play.
Thank you.
Listen.
Erik, there's been lots of talk about an overhaul of the squad in the summer, a revolution. You've said there's a good base to work with, but what did you make of reports suggesting that most of the players the club would entertain offers for and they would be up for sale?
It's a joke, but that is like as long as I worked there every summer, every window, I think 200 players getting an interest from Manchester United. We did some research, which untrue. And also every summer we sell all the players in our squad. And so you making all the headlines, which is untrue. So I think be calm and also but take some responsibility when you make such a headline. Find a good source if there is some truth in it, and this is totally crap.
Melissa.
Very good, you.
Erik, one of the reports centered around Marcus Rashford. He wasn't in training yet, apparently still some discomfort with his injury. When are you expecting to see him back?
I can't tell. So he was last weekend absent, Sheffield absent, so after Coventry, his issue hasn't healed so far.
He might consider leaving the club after the Euros. From your perspective, I imagine he's absolutely a player you'd want to keep.
Absolutely, but also I think that was also taken a little bit out of, not a little bit, but out of context.
I know he spoke in Portuguese. Did he explain the context or additional context to you then?
No, I haven't even asked him because I know he's Manchester United. I think he's very happy to be here.
So you expect he'll see out his contract at the club?
Definitely.
Thank you.
Dave. You said a couple of weeks ago, Erik, about one of the lessons from this season is greater depth in the squad. I know next season you won't expect to have as many injuries. It's a freak season. But is that one of the things that you'll be telling the new people in charge? We need to have greater depth in this squad going forward.
Yes, yeah. It is one of the issues in our constructing the squad where we have to improve and to do things better, to construct a squad where we have more depth in.
Does that mean there might be more players arriving than a normal summer window, for example? Sometimes you only have 4 or 5, but could you see more arriving to cover that depth that you need?
I'm not sure, but I think most important is if we to return players and to get them back. Then we have in many positions. Then also we creating depth. And now we have in some positions we don't have choices. For instance, the left fullback position, where Shaw only 15 starts this season so far, and Malaysia 0 starts, not even available.
Neil. Can I just clarify, you said about the 4 transfer windows, you said 2 we missed. What do you mean by that?
In the 2 winter windows, we didn't do almost no business in the first winter window. We loaned Wout Weghorst and Marcel Sabitzer, which were 2 good ones. But in this winter, we didn't do anything.
So it was things you were trying to do, but it didn't happen?
We did, we tried, but it didn't always happen. Also had to do with the budget, had to do with FFP.
And just on Bruno, him being here as the captain, and he has had criticism, but he's also, a lot of people see him as a sort of example in the way he's always available and he's always gives his utmost. How important is it to have a figure like that at a club this size?
Absolutely important. That so responsibility, taking responsibility, I think that's one of the biggest assets nowadays. Top footballers has to show and to deliver, and so Bruno delivers this. He's always available. So misses never again, and always play in a good level. and always giving energy to the team. And I think such assets are necessary to be successful.
Jamie.
On Bruno, you say that he's injured at the moment, but he'll fight to try and be available. Without naming any names, do you have some players in your squad who maybe don't fight as much to sort of overcome minor injuries? I'm not talking about serious ones, but ones where maybe it's 50-50. Do you have players like that?
I think it's also a very subjective criterion in this. But for one is sure, Bruno is a real fighter. When he was, for instance, last year, when we played Brighton semi-final FA Cup, he played with an angle that was unbelievable. He was so thick, he couldn't even run, but he was still on the pitch.
But it seems to me, in my humble opinion, you wouldn't make that point about Bruno unless you're comparing him to maybe other players in your squad who don't fight quite as much. Is that a fair enough assessment?
No, what's fair enough that Bruno is a very good example for many other players.
Okay. And my other question is, you have suffered a heck of a lot of injuries. Do you know the reason why? So why I'm asking is, of course you're going to get some next season, but are you confident you're not going to have sort of 60 plus that you've had this year? Because it's been such a massive problem for you.
I'm now, so for say over 10 years I'm manager. I've never had this experience. It's so huge, so many injury issues, so I trust on my experience. It can happen once in 10 years, hopefully. So hopefully I now have to wait for another 10 years to have so many injuries to deal with.
Chris.
Erik, you've got Palace on Monday. We go back 2 years. I think the first time we saw you in England, you got the job. You turned up with, I believe, Matt Judge and John Murtagh that day. Matt Judge is long gone. John Murtagh's now left. A lot of the people that brought you to the club are no longer here. Do you ever feel exposed in terms of your position, where you are in the new structure, given that so many people that brought you here are no longer here?
No, I don't have that feeling. So I work well with them. We are aligned. We communicate every day. And they will come, and there are already new people in, and I said in the new structure, we communicate on daily basis.
It's a much said thing in football that it's always a danger for any coach if you get a new ownership, a new chairman, whatever. From the start of all this, you've always felt that you've had support and you are included and you're part of their long-term vision. I don't think in dangers. You don't?
I don't think in dangers.
Right.
I think in opportunities, and I think never in problems. I think in how do we sort problems or how do we avoid them.
Well, Erik, you were talking a moment ago about bringing players in this summer as is normal, like you said. Which areas of the team are you looking to strengthen specifically, and what kind of attributes do you want from those players who are coming in terms of their sort of mental approach to the game?
I think every manager wants players with winning attitudes and with great mentality, big personalities to perform under stress. That is, I think, what every manager is looking for. But what the truth is, in this club is extremely important to perform under stress.
And in terms of positions, you mentioned left back is a striker one as well.
This left back depends on the availability from Luke Shaw, so he will be fit. He's returning already on the pitch, so we expect him to be back in the coming weeks. But Malaysia, it's expecting, so it depends on his availability.
Last question, Mike.
Erik, is it with Jadon Sancho? Is it as simple as an apology and he's back in your plans? And would you speak to him while he's away from the club? Would you speak to him?
We are close in that process, so we visiting games, and so not only yesterday, and we visit. I will not say all the games, but we have seen more games from Dortmund where Jadon was performing there. So we had a visit with him. We had a talk with him during his stay there, and So that we will keep going this process. We will also continually be in contact and communicate with them.
Is it an apology that you'd like?
That is, there was a conflict, and we let's first finish the season. He's not here now, so stay away from this issue now because it's not important. He is going up for the return semi-final. I think for them also in the league is not going that well over there, and we have 4 important games in the league, and we have to play a FA Cup final. So that is the issue, and that is the focus point at this moment. And then we will see in summer what's going to happen.